haven't done Zoom nonprofit spotlights in a long time, but there's a reason for this one specifically. I have with me today Leslie Jean Lusky from Avalon Center. And
Yep.
Avalon Center, I've actually known about for a while because I grew up in Williamsburg, and my parents, especially my mom, does a lot with you guys with their Keller Williams office in Williamsburg.
Yes, they
So
do.
I have asked Leslie to come on here and talk to us about a little bit about who Avalon Center is and just give some background. So, with that, I would love, Leslie, thank you so much for being here with me. If you could tell us just a little bit about Avalon Center, give us some history, how you guys got started, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So Avalon Center is, and most people know us as domestic violence, sexual assault shelter. We have been around for almost 50 years. So it's
Wow.
been a minute, I know.
Wow.
And so we have a shelter in Williamsburg, and we have safe houses that are scattered throughout the Middle Peninsula that we use scattered site housing for our clients. So and so much more. But yeah, 50 years, and the idea is to be trauma informed and to really come to the clients and meet them where they are, because it's such a difficult topic. It's a difficult thing for anybody to go through. So
Oh,
we're
yeah, for sure. Now, tell me about that. You said 50 years, you're almost 50 years old. Tell me, has the mission changed? Is it still the same? What is y'all's mission and vision?
No, so our mission is to reach out. We have outreach services, we have everything, and it's to basically meet the client where they are. Now, over 50 years, that has changed a little bit,
Hmm.
right? So it used to be for women, and then it was women and children. And then now what we're seeing is, one in seven men are affected by some sort of domestic or sexual violence by the time, that they get to us. So, and
Wow.
honestly, I think that number's quite a bit higher. I think men are less likely to come forward. So
Okay. Yeah.
we've definitely switched our gamut a bit. We started out, as a shelter, but now we are so much more. We offer counseling services at no charge. So
Okay.
we've got tons of clients. Last year, it was, I believe it was over 1,500 clients that we served.
Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, who founded it? Like, what encouraged the beginning here of the organization?
So the beginning of the organization, what happened in a church, and
Okay.
you're putting me on the spot. I can't remember the name of the church, but it started in a church, and it was just a group of people that and whether or not they were survivors, we'll never know, but they just said, this is a problem, and we don't have any organizations that can really respond the way that they need to be responded to. So
Yeah.
they got together in a church and put it together, and that's where Avalon Center was born.
Did they do services right there at the church at the beginning?
In the beginning, yes, I
Okay.
believe. I mean, they started out in the church, and it has just grown full through. It was through private donors and through the goodness of people's hearts at first, and
Yeah.
then education got involved, and we started really researching it and figuring out the best way to help people and to help women, men, children in the community, and really dove into being trauma informed
Uh-huh.
and understanding what that looks like and how we can help them. Because we said one in seven men, but one in three women are
Well,
affected by
yeah,
some.
that's what I was going to ask you. Tell me some statistics here. So, one in seven men are affected by some sort of domestic violence, one in three women.
One in three women, and it's a scary number because it's most of the time it is before the age of 18. So we have
Wow.
counselors who talk to we go into the schools, and they are case managers that are in there, and they're talking to high school students. They are talking uh, to them about what a healthy relationship looks like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think when you put that number out there and you say, hey, have you ever been a victim of domestic violence? Have you ever been a victim of sexual assault? But then you backtrack that a little bit and you ask the question a little bit differently. Have you ever been touched in an unwanted way? Have you ever been doing these things? And I think your number raises, and it really
Wow.
makes you
Yeah.
think about what that is. What is a healthy relationship?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't stop that cycle over and over and over again, then we can never really beat it.
So, do you all have like a curriculum that goes into the schools, or how do people like participate?
Yeah, so our youth services is amazing, and they go in there and they partner with Family Life,
Okay.
and they talk about, it's our a whole department devoted to youth services, and they go in there and they just really advocate for them. They give them a safe space to talk about feelings, and especially in February. And I love our guys in youth services because they're like, February is great. It's Teen Dating Violence Month. It's also Valentine's Day. So we can talk about love and we can talk about all the fun
Mm-hmm.
things in an open forum and be able to understand, what things look like. We talk about the power and control wheel and what that looks like. So it's
Okay.
just a great program.
Does anyone like, as a result of that, nothing comes out of it? Like, there's not more classes or anything outside of school. It's just kind of informative, informational. But when someone actually comes to you, is there ever a time where someone gets turned down?
No, and that's a loaded question,
Okay.
because Avalon Center is 100% confidential.
Okay.
So, no, to get services from us, the only criteria is that you need to be a survivor of domestic or sexual violence.
Okay.
But having said that, sometimes that looks differently when we say
Uh-huh.
receive services. If you are talking to a trauma survivor and then you say, look, we've got a space at a communal shelter, right? That may be something that they're not interested in. But what's
Mm-hmm.
great about Avalon is that we have other services that we can offer. We can
Okay.
have put them in touch with a counselor and talk about safety planning, because leaving can be very dangerous. And I think that's a scary thing that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Leaving can be, there's different factors. The biggest question that people ask me all the time is, why doesn't she just leave? And
Mm.
I love and hate that question, because the better question is, why is he or she abusing their
Mm-hmm.
partner?
Right.
But also it gives me a forum to kind of talk about that, because you think about things like children. Just because an abuser is abusive towards their partner does not mean they are abusive towards the children.
True.
And you can't pick up those children and just leave. Those things look very,
Mm-hmm.
very different. And there is financial implications for leaving. So I think what is great about Avalon is we offer options. We can get you on the phone and talk to you, and it can be in-person counseling, or it can be just like we're doing.
Okay.
We have a confidential program that we use, but they can just talk about what it looks like, what to do in a heated argument. When is it time for you to leave? Because the only expert in a survivor's life is that survivor. So it's
Mm.
truly a judgment-free zone, and we're going to meet you where you are and
Mm.
decide what's best for your situation, because there are no two situations alike.
Yeah. Oh, I can imagine. So do your referrals come through like social services, or do like individuals actually seek y'all out on their own?
Well, we have several processes. In order for us to take on a client, we have to actually talk to the survivor. And
Okay.
that starts with our helpline.
Okay.
And the helpline is the first and foremost contact. So what they would do is call the helpline, and sometimes social services, yes, says, look, we've got we've got this phone number here for you to call. We
Mm-hmm.
need you to call, and we'll go through the process and get them what's called an intake.
Yep.
We also partner with the police departments in the area, and we have what's called a LAP program, which is a lethality assessment protocol. And what they do is it gives the deputies, the police officers, a score that they can give a situation.
Mm. Okay.
And if they feel like the situation gets a high enough score, the officer will actually call Avalon, put them on the phone, and if that client agrees, they will ride with the officer to our shelter.
Wow. Wow.
So it's a
Wow. I
great.
can imagine that has looked super tricky at times, especially if the abuser is still at the house when that's happening.
It, it's and again, that goes back to leaving can be very dangerous,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because after that officer leaves, that looks very, very different than it did
Yeah.
before. So,
Right.
we try to be informed and understand that, and let people know that just because you don't want to leave does not mean that we can't help you.
Right.
And
Right.
that's okay. And I think that's a misconception that, well, what if I don't
That's
leave? Then are
good.
they going to judge me? And no,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's good. So then do you have people that are actually still in an abusive situation that come to you all like at the site for counseling, but then go back to it? Okay, so you don't have a requirement they have to be removed from there. Okay.
Absolutely not. And that is one thing I want to make very, very clear. It takes a survivor an average of 7 times to leave before they leave for good, and that is part of the process, because an abuser is not abusive all the time. Because if they were, it wouldn't work.
Right.
So there is good, and I say all the time, when an abuser says that he or she is sorry, it is sincere, because they are sorry. But, I joke with people all the time. I'm like, think about the things that your mother said to you growing up that you swore you would never say. Right? When I get stressed, my mother comes out of my mouth so fast I can't catch her. And I know I'm doing it, but it is a learned behavior from childhood. So it is what it is. And while we do not offer services for abusers, it's an important thing for people to understand as they're going through the process, and that answers the question why she doesn't leave.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you do have resources, though, that if she's not willing to leave and she still wants services and he's there, that you suggest to him, or you provide services to him or her as well, the abuser. If
we
they're
do
willing.
not.
Oh, you don't?
We do not.
Okay.
No, we do
so
not.
You don't get involved
services
with that side. No, not provide it, but like give them resources.
There are resources out there. Yes. So they would be given, and most of the time that would come through social services. And what that looks like, just to be clear. Our focus is we joke, we can't be a jack of all trades. We have to be a master of one.
Yep.
And so we really focus on our survivors.
So what have you found as you're like, I mean, this didn't just happen overnight, clearly, this whole process and how you've learned to do this and what makes it successful. So what are some big ahas that you guys have found, or big wins or victories in this? Like, this is challenging. And like you said, not every case is the same.
No. And I think that that's the basis for what we do, is we understand that we don't have policies just to write policies. We don't have procedures just to have procedures. Every case is handled differently. Every case is handled with a trauma-informed idea. There, we go through training, so much training.
Oh, I can imagine.
I don't have direct contact with our clients. I'm education, and I offer education, community outreach, and those things. But even I do an extensive amount of training on being trauma informed and understanding what that looks like, and understanding why we may be meeting them on their worst day, and understanding that fight or flight.
When
you have control taken away from you at home, you're in control. When you're dealing with Avalon, you are absolutely, and that's an aha moment to just realize what that looks like.
I can imagine. So tell me, how can people find you, whether it's people who want to participate, get involved, or people who need services?
Absolutely. So our helpline that we man is 24 hours a day. And that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is, if you are a survivor, or you need to talk, or you need to do anything, that is the first line of defense for survivors. And I can give you that number.
Go for it.
It's area code 757-258-5051.
Perfect. Okay.
And that number can be called or texted.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Okay. So then the flip side of that is that's where everybody starts, is with the phone call, like you said.
Correct.
How about volunteers? How about people who want to support the organization? How can they help?
So we need them so badly. And our volunteers go through, our volunteer coordinator, Amanda, is amazing. And so you would start at that level if you would like to volunteer. There is some training and orientation involved, and we do talk about being trauma informed. We talk about all those parts and pieces, which is key. And they start at our website. If you go to our website, which is avaloncenter.org, and click on the link for volunteer, and you'll start the application process, and then she will reach out and get you going.
So tell us where they can find you if they just want to give.
So I love that. Yes. So they can go to avalloncenter.org.
Okay.
And again, if they're wanting to make a monetary donation, there is definitely a space there.
Hmm.
And if they are wanting to donate physical items, we always need cleaning supplies. We
Okay.
always need those things. And I would tell you to reach out to our office, and you can drop off either at our Gloucester Outreach Center or the Avalon Center in Williamsburg.
Okay.
A good thing is, especially if you and your business is going to do a drive or anything
Uh-huh.
like that, we like to hear from you first, because there may be a time when feminine hygiene products is like, we don't need anymore.
Yes.
Please don't bring us any.
Okay.
Or it may be a situation where, like, hey, we're out of bleach.
Yeah.
Or we are in a situation right now where I do need some furniture and we're getting ready
Okay.
to get that together. So those are all really important things that I encourage people to reach out so you can find, because
Okay.
the needs are ever changing.
Well, this has been great. I appreciate the time that you've given me and the opportunity. I would love to stay connected with you guys more and see how we can partner more, because this is just a great organization that's doing amazing things. And two things that I'm super passionate about are foster care and human trafficking. And I feel like all of this like works together because there's
100%.
so many
100%.
statistics out there about the kids who are in foster care end up being human trafficked, and the kids who have experienced domestic or sexual violences usually end up in either foster care or in human trafficking as
Yep.
well. So there's this world is like very small when it comes down to it. So this is an important cause, and I appreciate your time and everything that Avalon Center does for Williamsburg. And I'm assuming you also take clients that aren't just from Williamsburg.
We do. So our area is actually Williamsburg and surrounding areas.
Okay.
And we also go through the Middle Peninsula. So we are
Okay.
Gloucester, Matthews, Middlesex County. And so what I tell people is always call, because where our service line ends, somebody else picks up, and we
Right.
have relationships with all of them.
Good. Good. Good.
So
Good.
we'll get
Okay.
them where they need to go.
Absolutely. Okay. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Leslie, for your time. This has been amazing. And we look forward to partnering with you soon.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. You take care.